I'm going to go through the edulastic, the 8.1, 8.2 review because we're still having some issues here. If you look at the problems, pay attention. It does have it at the top that you can put a hint or ask for a hint up here at the top. So my hint for this one is it's a 45, 45, 90 triangle. So that means the two legs are equal and the hypotenuse is leg multiplied by square root of 2. So if I want to know what the value of x is, if I want to know the value of x, then I'm going to take this 44 value here, and I'm going to divide by square root of 2. Because my legs are x, x, and x radical 2, that means that 44, which is my hypotenuse, is equal to x square root of 2. So if I want to solve for x, I'm going to divide by square root of 2 on both sides. And using the calculator, that's going to give me that x is equal to 31.1. So in your box, then you would have 31.1. Question number 2 is the same setup. Again, if you look at your triangle, you have a 45-degree angle, which means that if I want to find my value of x, I have to think about this is x and this is x because those are both legs, and then this is x square root of 2. So if 16 is equal to x square root of 2, I'm dividing both sides by square root of 2. And again, you're going to use a calculator, and x is going to be equal to 11.3. For question number 3, again, we have a 45-degree angle. So my legs are x, x, and x radical 2. So the two legs, remember, are always the ones that form that right angle. And that's how I know which ones are my x's. So that means that this 20 over here, x is equal to 20. And because the two legs are the same, this x is also equal to 20. And to find my hypotenuse then, I'm going to take 20 multiplied by square root of 2. Doing that on the calculator, my value of y should be 28.3. Alright, so this one we have a baseball diamond. Remember, a baseball diamond is simply the picture is going to be a square. And if you draw the diagonal across the square, you now have two 45-degree angles. So 45 on the bottom and 45 on the top. It says the distance from base to base is 90 feet. That means that each side of my square is equal to 90. How far does a catcher standing at home plate, so if our home plate is here, they have to throw the ball diagonally across the square to second base, so this would be our second base. How far is that? So it's just going to be a 45-45 right triangle. So the lengths of my sides are going to be my x to x to x radical 2. So this is my x, and my hypotenuse would be x radical 2. That means that x is equal to 90, and my hypotenuse, that x radical 2, is 90 multiplied by radical 2, which is 127 feet. Alright, so if you're making a quilt block by putting together 4 congruent isosceles right triangles. So what's happening here is you have a square and you have 4 congruent isosceles right triangles. So each one of these pieces on the inside is going to be equal, and the diagonals here are perpendicular. So if I want to know then it tells me that the diagonal of my square is equal to 6 inches. So that means this entire length of my big square, this diagonal is equal to 6. What's the perimeter of the square to the nearest tenth? So again, it's going to be a 45-45 right triangle. So the lengths of my sides are going to be x, x, and my hypotenuse is x radical 2. So if 6 is equal to x radical 2, I'm going to divide by radical 2 on both sides. Using the calculator, that's going to give me that x is equal to 4.2. Well, how do I find perimeter? Well, perimeter is just adding up the 4 sides. So if I have the 4, that's a p. If I have the 4 sides, well, my side is each 4.2. Just putting that into the calculator, then our perimeter is going to be 16.8 inches. Very similar to the last question. Again, you have a square. The diagonal is equal to 15. So I'm going to put 15 in here. What is the length of a side? Well, because it's a square to start with and you have a diagonal, that means you have 45-degree angles. And so my sides are x, and my hypotenuse is x radical 2. So that 15, which was my diagonal, is my x radical 2. We're going to divide by radical 2 on both sides to get the x by itself. Typing that into the calculator, you're going to have x is equal to 10.6. All right, problem number 7, our hint for this one. It is a 30-60 right triangle. So our ratios, the short side is x, the long is x radical 3, and the hypotenuse is 2x. So if I look at it, here's my 30 degree. Diagonal of my 30 degree is always my shortest side, so that's going to be my x. This will be my x radical 3 because it's my longer side, and the hypotenuse is 2x. So they're telling me right here that x is equal to 15. Now I have to be careful, that's not my x for down here in my answer section. So I'm going to replace that x equal to 15 in my problem. So if I want to know this long side where x is radical 3, then I'm going to have 15 multiplied by radical 3. In the calculator, that's going to give me 26.0. I do need to have that 0 on there because it's not a perfect 26. It is a rounded answer. If I want to know my value of y, well, y is twice the x, so if my hypotenuse is twice the x value, so if my x value again was 15, that means the hypotenuse has to be equal to 30. All right, our hint for this one again, it is a 30-60 right triangle with some x radical 3, and 2x again. And so if I look at my lengths of my sides, this leg is my shorter side, so this is my short. My hypotenuse is 2x, and my longer side is x radical 3. So which one do I know my value? I know my value down here, so I can set up an equation. X radical 3 is equal to 4 radical 3. Sorry about those 3's. We're dividing by radical 3. And so on this right-hand side, those radical 3's are going to cancel. Left-hand side, the radical 3's are going to cancel, and we're left with x equal to 4. So using that for my x value for the inside of my triangle, so that means this x is equal to 4, and this x is equal to 4. So my y value of my picture is going to be equal to 4. And my hypotenuse is twice that, so my x value is equal to 8. All right, question number 9. Again, we have a 60-degree angle here. So that means that it's going to be a 30-60 right triangle. My shortest side will be my x, my hypotenuse is 2x, and my long side is x radical 3. Sorry again about those 3's. This is not the easiest to write with. All right, so which side do I know information about? So if I look here, I know I have a 14 on the outside. So that means that my 2x is equal to 14. Divide by 2, x is equal to 7. So that means this x is 7, and the x here is 7. So my answers will be my y value will be equal to 7. And for here, it's my x. So my x is going to be 7 multiplied by radical 3. And 7 multiplied by radical 3 is 12.1. And that will be my answer for here. All right, escalator we have. Apparently some things didn't get erased here. All right, so I know for this picture that I have a 30-degree angle here. So that means that this side is going to be my x. My hypotenuse is 2x. And my longer leg is my x radical 3. It tells me that it's lifting at 25 feet above, so I have my 25. And the question wants to know how far does a person travel from the bottom to the top of the escalator. So that means I need to know this side. All right, so looking at my picture, I know x is equal to 25. So I can replace this x from the 2x with 25. And that's going to be my y value. So y is equal to 50. All right, where to start on this one? I have a 45-degree angle, and because I know this side, or my hypotenuse of my 45, then I can be able to find my a and b. So 45, 45, those sides are both the same, and the hypotenuse is x square root of 2. So I know both of these, so that means x is equal to x squared root of 2 is equal to 12 square root of 2. Again, we're going to divide by square root of 2. And so we're going to have x is equal to 12. Now remember, that's my inside x. So my x here would be 12, 12, 12. So I know then that my A value is 12 and that my B value is 12. All right, then I have to move on to my second triangle. Well, here I have a 30-degree angle. So that means that this angle has to be 60. This would be my shorter side. My hypotenuse would be 2x, and my longer side would be x radical 3. Well, luckily here I have that x is equal to 12, so I can plug that information in for my x. So x is 12 and x is 12. So to find C, I need to take 12 multiplied by radical 3. That can be done on the calculator, and that's going to give me 20.8. If I want to find D, then I'm going to go back to my picture. And for D, I have a 2x, and my x value is equal to 12. So you're going to do 2 times 12, which is 24. So my D value is 24, and my C value is 20.8. All right, so for this one, we're trying to classify, is it right, obtuse, or acute? So I've got the formulas here, and if I look at my 3 lengths, 18, 19, and 27, well, how do I know which one is my C? Well, C is always longest. So I'm going to have that 27 is my longest side. So I'm going to put it in as 18 squared plus 19 squared, and then I'm checking, does it equal 27 squared? So when you're doing the math, 18 squared is 324. 19 squared is 361, and then 27 squared is 729. When I add that left-hand side together, we get 685. Well, 685 is less than 729, and so because it's less, I'm looking over here at my chart, that means that my answer for this problem will be that it is obtuse. Same idea as the last question. Those are my 3 sides. So 11 and 11 are my 2 smaller sides, and then I have this 11 square root of 3. Now, when you're doing this one on the calculator, you want to make sure that you're using parentheses or hit the enter key before you hit the squared. So 11 squared is 121. 11 radical 3 is actually equal to 363. So when I add these together, I get 242. And that's less than 363, so that means that my angle is obtuse. All right, so for this last question we have a football field. Well, we know that a football field is a rectangle in shape, and that we are given that is 300 feet long and that it is 160 feet wide. So they're telling us that the player is running from one corner to the opposite corner. Well, if this is 300 at the bottom, I also have 300 at the top. And so I have a rectangle, and I have a right triangle inside of that rectangle. So 300 on the top, 160. Well, anytime I know 2 sides of a right triangle, what do I do? Well, here's my hint for that one. See if I can get it to come up. Well, the hint, if you get it on your screen, would be that it's Pythagorean theorem. So I'm missing the hypotenuse of my right triangle. So I want to know what is the length of this side, and that's going to be my C. So it's going to be 160 squared plus 300 squared equals my C squared. So 160 squared is 25,600. 300 squared is 900. Adding those together, we get 115,600. Taking the square root, we get that x is equal, or C is equal to 340 feet. All right, hopefully that helps. Let me know if you have any questions.